An impossible feat is being attempted. Make every mistake possible and fix the economy. Pour gasoline on the fire. Tie a weight to the ankle of the drowning man. It's easy to see that as oil has declined in price, the effect has been disastrous to the sectors which are directly related. The nation's economies and their currencies which export crude oil, and the real estate value and businesses of the surrounding areas. Stock markets have been weak because of the lack of QE, quantitative easing, from the central banks, particularly the Fed. Tune into the mainstream media, however, and listen to the lies. But you came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to get into some charts that prove the economy is in the toilet. Let's hit the flush on that. Right away, let's get into the oil situation. Alberta endures the most annual job losses since early 1980s recession. How many times do I have to tune in to the mainstream media, unfortunately, to do this business and have to see that everything's just fine in the economy? Oil is down, but it's not a problem. Well, look at what's happening in Alberta. They suffered their worst year for employment losses since the dark days of the National Energy Program in the 1980s recession. So what we have here is no different than any other crash, any other commodity. So if, for example, tomorrow copper wasn't needed, all of those countries which export copper are going to be hurt. Their real estate values are going to be hurt. Local businesses and so on. Remember that there's a ripple effect. It's not just the price of oil and people who own oil stocks and the companies which mine this oil. It's not the way it works. You need to look down the line, of course. Look at this right here out of the Calgary Herald. In 2015, as average benchmark oil prices fell 48%. Statistics being released this week show 765 landowners went to the Alberta Surface Rights Board to apply for compensation. The board ordered the offending oil and gas producer tenants to pay $1.7 million in overdue lease payments. So basically, they're taking their land to take what they need, if it's oil or natural gas or what have you, and they haven't been paying up to the landowners. Now, this is obviously a problem, and it's not coincidence that now they're hurting for that money. And, it might be only $5,000 in the case if you read this article here at the top. It's a few $1,000s, but they're so broke at this time that they can't even pay up to the people, the landowners, they owe. This is a very serious time right now. Yawning gap. Percentage change year over year benchmark home prices. Look at the difference in between. These are 3 Canadian cities spread out across the country. But you look at Vancouver's home prices, which are absolutely unstoppable right now. And then you look at Calgary. They have declined considerably over the past few years. And then you have Toronto's, which are increasing due to the low interest rates, but are a little bit more stagnant. So a big change. Calgary clearly affected by what's going on with oil. And if it continues to be subdued, well, then the prices will continue to decline. Vancouver has a whole different situation altogether. Let's move on. This is a totally switching gears here. Most of the budget goes, this is from the US, I should mention, most of the budget goes towards defense, social security, and major health programs. Can you believe it? The defense and international security assistance, that means war, that's 18% of the budget. Social security, 24%. Medicare, Medicaid, and so on, 24%. Safety net, 7%. And interest on the debt, that's another big one as well. But think about that for a second. Just war, killing, and Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid makes up the largest amount of money that the government spends. They're spending so much money, and yet most of that money is spent in these few categories. It's not roads and infrastructure that's costing all the mega billions. It is actually these three here. Very interesting to see that. And when individuals are always asking, what could the government do? Well, you have 18% that can be eradicated instantly. And I'll let you figure out which one that is. Let's move on to this. I wrote about it in my book. It's Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, also known as GAAP. It's an international standard for accounting in order to simplify businesses in a globalized world. The U.S. government reports a $1.3 trillion federal deficit. This was at the time I wrote the book. Although the number is staggering, many of their real obligations are, quote, off the books. In order to seem in better shape, look at this. If you use GAAP, any corporation, you would have to use GAAP. Any of them. It's illegal not to use GAAP. But if you calculate the actual deficit in the U.S. using GAAP, it's actually $5 trillion a year, and these numbers are old. The numbers have increased dramatically since. If the U.S. was a company, it would be charged for its illegal activity for removing the unfunded liabilities from its balance sheet. So, for example, if you bought 5 homes and you had all that debt on you, all that mortgage debt, and you're reporting your taxes, you basically take the mortgage debt and you just, put it off to the side, put it in a folder, put that folder somewhere else for the time being, and then report. Well, that's not how it works. You have to be forthcoming. You have to actually be transparent. Well, not if you're the U.S. government or any government for that matter. This is 3 charts which are interesting here. The VIX index, for those who don't know, that's basically volatility that you're measuring with this. And you can see during the financial crisis, clearly a spike there. That's the white line if you can't see that small font. You're looking at the white line with the chart there. Obviously, financial crisis, big spike. But we can see that, at this time, the volatility has certainly increased. There's a trend there. It's not nearly as high as it was during the financial crisis, but we can see that's picking up. And we can see the shorts actually picking up as well. I talked about that recently. And then you look at the treasury spreads, seems to be on an incline, but of course it is slow to do so. And then you look at the S&P, showing you during the financial crisis, there was that sort of dip downwards, and then they're suggesting that the similar thing is happening at this time. I think it's a little too early to tell, and of course, there is always the lender of last resort, the Fed, who hasn't come out and addressed a QE4 at all recently. All they need to do is mention that if they mention that they will go out and print money, this would all be resolved because the stock market can use that to its advantage. But at this time, things look a little weak, and I believe this is being done intentionally for the time being. This right here is just showing you the general health of the economy in many different ways. You can see the shipments, new orders, and inventory levels, raw materials being up. So you're looking at sort of the left side here, which is the most recent statistics, February 2016. What I would like to note from this is that we need to look at shipments for the overall health of the economy, because that's imports and exports, and that tells you how well businesses are doing, that tells you how well nations are doing, which in effect shows you how well people are doing. And right now, it's not going so well. This is just one interesting chart I thought I'd bring to you. And this is a little side note here. Japan's negative interest rates are driving up sales of safes. That's right. So where do you think all that cash is going? They're not leaving it in the banking system. They're taking that and they're bringing it home. And some people like to put it under their mattress. Others like to put it in safes. And you can see that this is going to be a continued trend, that people are scared to leave their money in the banking system, whether it's because of bail-ins or whether it's because of negative interest rates. Now, most people, I believe, will not take their money out of the bank because they trust it very much. However, they're clear indications here, this is an actual fact, that sales of safes are increasing. People are taking their money and they're bringing it home. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, you'll definitely find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. Head over to Amazon. You can flip through the book for yourself and see if you like it. I just wanted to say that I have been looking at the comments for the questions that you have asked, and as of the recording of this video, there's already over 100 comments. So I'm definitely going to do a video. I just want to make sure that everyone's got the questions they want asked, and then I will proceed to make a video in the coming days. I might actually have to make 2 or 3. We'll see how long the video has to be, because there are certainly a lot of people who have been asking questions, and that's excellent. So I'll cover them all, definitely. So that's all for now, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.